Hey guys, what's going on? Pretty sure y'all noticed something a little bit different. I ain't got my glasses on. Oh, right, chick over here come up with an idea. Something about the reality of being a step parent. Or, I guess, the reality of having a step parent. I don't know where in the hell he got this idea from. But I grew up with the world champion of hide and seek myself. And so is he.
Yeah. Then I got a stepdad.
Do the step daddy. Hey. That baby don't look like me.
Yeah. But,
All right. Well,
I've had a stepdad for shit, man, since I was 6 or 7. So yeah, they've been together for over 30 years now. So
I bet you old.
yep, I am. Yeah, they've been together for about 30 years now. So
Even after all that shit. Ain't nothing stop them ass cheeks from getting together.
I'm right cheek, aka Kevin.
I'm left cheek, aka Dustin. And as you can tell, I feel a little bit awkward about this. Frankly, because
Welcome to the whole ass show.
yeah. Frankly, because it's one of those kind of subjects for me that where I could piss off a lot of people. And I could piss off a person that means something to me with this particular topic. In here, I guess this is one of them. This is one of the few channels on YouTube where it's more along the lines of your feelings, but not in reality, because we do care about some people's feelings. We care about people in general, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how to explain it. Like we're gonna say what we're gonna say, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead. Like I don't even want to put the video up now. I think we should just go ahead and just talk about it.
Let's watch the video.
All right.
Let's see, I mean, we might find some similarities. We might find some, some what is that? Some pros and cons, like to be similar or maybe not.
Yeah,
So,
but
let's
I
see.
think for me and for you, it's kind of different because we're hearing it from somebody that is a step parent and from two people that have had step parents. So whatever. Let's just see what he says.
To kind of take on this father figure for two kids that aren't your kids.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because you're still not really their dad, right? And that's like as a dad, like you want to be the dad, right? But you have
Do you
to
ever
acknowledge
feel the sense
a
of like I don't want to
TBG
step on his toes
podcast?
and like piss people off and create?
Yeah, there's definitely some things that you do that you you kind of walk a fine line on that,
Tactical baby gear.
Oh,
Yeah,
like whether you're
that's whose video this is.
I don't know who that is.
you're doing that. But I think a lot of it is it's less that it's just there's the kid's emotional side of it, and it's the you're not their dad. They know you're not their dad. They still have their dad, and they go see their dad. They love you, but I think for them to get comfortable in that scenario takes some time. Like, and it depends. I think every dynamic's a little bit different, but like, originally, we got into some things where it's like, the other step parent did not want them calling me dad, so, or the other parent didn't want them calling me dad.
Sure.
And I can't really begrudge that, like I think about it like on the other turn, like, what I want, someone being called dad, from
Your
my
kids, yeah.
And so I can't really like, begrudge that. But I do think that, being directly told that to the kids was probably a situation that made them feel like they took a step back a little bit. And so it's just hard because they love you and you're always around, but there's also this sort of like, separation that's a little bit challenging. Like it's a little bit of a disconnect, especially when, you don't, for 10 years they were raised by somebody else, and, parenting styles are different. Home dynamics are different. Like we talked about, like that's what I was going to bring up is like we grew up as 3 boys who roughhoused and we played loud and we did crazy things and all this kind of stuff.
Cannot believe I'm still alive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like some of the things we did were like, we should be dead. But so like, but that stuff's what kind of comes natural to me, like the loud play, the kind of the rough housing a little bit.
Yeah, no one can stir up the kids in my house quite like you.
Right. It's
Jeez.
It's a gift that I was given and trained well
You
at.
have been an instigator forever.
I am. It's in my DNA apparently. But, and my kids get it. They expect it. They kind of play with it. They go along with it. They think it's fun.
Yeah, they're used to that.
But that was a complete dynamic shift for my stepkids. It's like, they're like, why is he always torturing us?
What do you mean he's going to throw me against the couch?
Right. Yeah. They learn to like it eventually, but not all the time, but they're a little more, like my wife is a little bit more quiet and calm. And like, her idea of a great time is sitting down with a good book, right? Which would bore me to tears. So like when we do Nerf wars and it gets loud, like she and our youngest daughter are kind of like, this is a little too much. And
I need my safe space.
Right. Yeah. So, they go off and do their own thing. And so.
So for me, this is completely unrelatable. 100% unrelatable. 1,000% unrelatable.
You talking about like his experiences?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, same with me though. Because my mom was single, for a, decent amount of time. And then,
Not mine.
Then obviously I got a stepdad, but that was it. He didn't have any kids. So I didn't, she didn't, we didn't have to, I didn't have to deal with any of that stuff,
So but I mean, like, the reason why I say it's for me, why it's unrelatable, it's not undermining what you're saying at all. But even in that aspect of it or the angle, it's still 100% unrelatable for me. And where you said your mom was single for a while, mom wasn't. And so, I mean, like, for me, like, like I said, it's not undermining you or nothing. It's not intended to be that way. But it's like, for me, it's just completely the opposite because I don't ever remember my mom being single. And it's not saying nothing bad about her. Like, I mean, she was doing the best she could. I mean, she wanted somebody to love her too.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, my mom was single for a good 6-7 years. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it was one of those where I was born and then like 2 years later, like he was gone. You know what I'm saying? And then like ever since then, like, because I want to say that they met, and like they dated here and there, like my stepdad, like they dated here and there, and like, but it wasn't serious. And I want to say it wasn't up until like, I think maybe like when I was 7 or 8 that they got married. But I had known, he was always around because he was, obviously from, the town we're from, like it was a small town. So everybody knew each other.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. And like, he did, like I said, he did the best he could. My mom did the best she could for sure. It was just us two,
I get it.
But like, so like, as far as like his experience, obviously his experience is a little different, because he's talking about more of the difference in personalities, because his wife had kids already. Right. And then he has his own kids. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a kind of like a, his kids are already grown up with his personality and her kids have grown up with her personality. You know what I'm saying? So there is a difference, but I mean, for me, it was like, you know, me and my mom, and that was it. And then stepdad comes along, and that was it. And obviously, you know, they had a kid together, my sister, you know. But other than that, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't call him dad. It's weird.
What do you call him?
I call him by his first name.
Always?
Mm-hmm.
Is that now? Is that your choice or?
It's always been my choice. He's never been like, why don't you call me dad? No, none of that. Ever. My mom's never asked me. None of that. You know what I mean? He's always just left it up to me. However, when I introduce him to people, I go, oh, this is my dad. Not even like stepdad or nothing. Like, no, this is my dad.
Yeah.
You know? And it's one of those, it's like a weird thing because people are like, wait, you guys aren't related? Like, why? What do you mean? It's like, because you kind of resemble each other and like you kind of act the same. And I'm like, well, I mean,
They
you know,
say
he raised me.
long enough,
Like he raised me, so of course I'm gonna act the same, you know. But I like even on my phone, like he's dad on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know why. Like I feel weird calling him dad. I don't know why. And it's not like it's a bad thing or like a I'm disrespecting someone else, you know, because fuck that dude. You know, fuck the other dude that just dipped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing to like, you know, like disrespect him or anything because fuck him because he wasn't there. You know, but it's just like I don't know. I've never really like thought about it or anything. Like, but we're like father and son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we treat each other like father and son. Like when he introduces me to people, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's my son. It's my oldest son." Same with me and like other people. Oh yeah, it's my dad. You know? And some people will be like, "Guys kind of don't look alike." Like, I'm like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "Yeah, that's my stepdad. That's my dad." I go, "Yeah, that's my stepdad." I was like, "But that's my dad." You know what I mean? Like, and I know sometimes it confuses people. It's like, wait. He's your dad, but he's your stepdad, but he's your dad. I'm like, yeah, he's raised me. I mean, since I was 7 or 8. So, I mean, that's. But he's never like to this day. He's never questioned or even asked me like, "Hey, man, how come you never called me dad?" You know, like I don't know. But it's one of those things where now I'm so used to it that you know my kid calls him grandpa. You know, my kid doesn't know. Yeah, he doesn't know.
Yeah,
he doesn't know. He knows that you know he knows that that's my dad, but he doesn't know that you know.
DNA wise.
Yeah, DNA wise, he knows that he doesn't know. He doesn't know that. That's not it. But you know, he's never asked or questioned it either. You know. But my mom's never asked me. My sister's never asked me. But like I said, even on my phone, he's dad. Like to everybody else, he's my dad. Like
what about your sisters?
I only have one sister.
Well, I mean, no, I'm saying like, what does she call him?
She calls him dad. Yeah, she calls him dad. But that's how she, you know, obviously that's all she's ever known him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I knew him by his first name. Because my mom, because even like when they were dating, my mom never pushed that on me. Yeah. And he was like, no, he's like, I wouldn't want you to push that on him. But I still respect him like my dad. Yeah. You know, just because he's not my real dad, I was never like, you're not my dad. You know what I mean? Like, no, because you know he was
your ass busting.
Because he was not like, and that's the thing though. Like, he never hit me. He never disciplined me like he was my dad either. But at the same time, I wasn't a terrible kid either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like
I wasn't that terrible of a kid where he had to like, you know. But if he had to like school me on some shit, he would. You know.
See, that's very different for me because, like I said, and if you watch this video. this is a name that you talking to my mom, but for me, like I don't ever remember it just being me and my mom ever. And of course, I know she went through some pretty screwed up shit as well, like as a kid and stuff like that. Yeah. And for me, it was more along the lines of, like, I'm not gonna say no names, but for me, it was more lines like I just remember people. And in one particular instance, whenever I was younger, there was one of them, because I was adopted, and like for me, the person that adopted me was 100% difference of a father figure than what I always thought I would have. And so and it's just weird though, because every time, like, that sounds horrible when I put it like that, so I'm not gonna word it that way, but it seemed like whenever my brother was born, that's when things changed. When my sister was born, that's when shit got worse. And it was one of the kind of instances, for that set of years, and my brother was born, and I wasn't jealous of him, but whenever he packed up his shit and left, my brother got snatched out of my life. Like, we were literally playing in the front yard and he got snatched. And I remember him saying, "I'm gonna come back for you." And he never did. And still to this day, I think me as an individual, as a person, I think that was more traumatizing than as abusive as the person that adopted me was. And the abusiveness towards my mom, towards me, it was on another kind of level. And and then whenever him and my mom separated, it's like immediately there was a person that adopted me. And everything was great. Everything was good for the first 2 to 4 years. But whenever my sister was born, that's when shit took a turn, like a big turn. And that's when the drinking got out of hand. That's when the anger and the aggression got out of hand. And it's like my whole time from that point forward, from the moment she was born and forward in that particular individual's life, even though they adopted me, was just pure hate. I mean, for a period of my life, I just became numb, and after my grandparents died and stuff like that, and it's like I became numb to everything. And I did some stuff whenever I got out of that house, and it's weird because between that time frame from whenever I got kicked out, because he was, before people make a judgment call, I kind of get kicked out and I kind of removed myself because I never saw anything changing and I only saw things getting worse. So whenever my mom got hurt really, really bad, I snapped, and pretty sure you can imagine what happened from that point. And then I got out, and there was points to after me snapping on him to where he wasn't. I mean, everybody's going to have their own version of a story because some people don't want to remember stuff, but this is exactly what I remember. And what I dealt with on my end was because a really good friend is like a brother. We can go months, we can go years without talking. And I know you've heard me talk about him before. If it wasn't for him sneaking food in the mailbox, there wasn't groceries, because he would take them and they go out to eat, And there was several times where I was just left at home. And that was the person that adopted me. That was the person that I chose to call dad. Like pops, whatever. And like, it's just a completely different perspective, and I'll never understand it. I mean, and I used to envy people that had a father figure, and I used to envy people and stuff like that. And I it's not that I envy.
I feel you on that.
I
feel you on that because I went through the same thing.
But it wasn't envy though.
Here's the
it was
thing.
Just like what was wrong with me?
Right. So I had that too. Also, believe it or not, like my dad wasn't a bad person at all. Right. But when my sister was born, right, and then obviously you're a kid, so you feel like all of a sudden like, oh, fuck, like you got a new kid, like it's all about them now. You kind of feel like damn, like she gets to have her real dad. You know what I mean? But I don't. That's how I looked at it when I was. But I mean, shit, we're talking 10, 11 years old. Like from like 9, 10, 11, 12, like you start, but that's all in like, to me, it was all me, like, because in all honesty, he wasn't treating me any differently. But the way I saw it was, oh, my sister gets to have a real dad. Like, what the fuck? Like, how come I can't have that? But see, I wasn't looking at it like now that I'm older. Obviously, I look at it differently. I was like, yeah, I had a dad the whole time. Like, what the hell was my problem? You know what I mean? So I would act differently. I would, say and do stuff that wasn't right. And of course him not wanting to
Own up to it.
No, him not wanting to like blow up on me for being wrong. He would just like stay away from it. My mom would kind of come and like talk to me. He's like, dude, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? Because him not wanting to replace my dad. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do any of that. He just wanted to be, the dad that he wanted to be. Get it? Like he didn't want to like act as a replacement for me. It was just like, I'll give him some time. He'll come around, basically. Like now that I look at it back, I'm like, yeah, that's really what he was doing, just giving me time to work my own stuff out. And
see, in that instance, that's where you're lucky. Like I'm not saying you had it better, or nothing like that, but it's just like that's where you're lucky because, like,
oh, I know.
All I can remember was just fucking just getting my ass beat. I mean, hell, I remember one time that my mother left and she went out. She didn't go out like that. She went to Walmart. So yeah. And I was just on the phone. I was in the bedroom. I was on the phone. I was talking to a friend of mine. And this dude literally pushed my door open and grabbed me by the fucking throat and was like, why didn't you clean up the dog shit or the dog shit out the dog pen or something? I'm like, huh? And like, I didn't know how to react. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I just waited. Like, just waited to get hit again. And so, I mean, I didn't envy nobody. I just always felt like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I not good enough? Because up until the point where my brother and sister was born, it was 100% different. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't looking at it from my mindset like, oh shit, now, what about me? I was more along the lines that I was excited, like, because I always felt alone. And then, boom, here comes brother, or boom, here comes my sister. And then it just wound up being just completely opposite. Like, it's like, cut the grass, clean up the dog crap, feed the dogs. We're dogs. Hey, go out here and put this fence up. Go out here and do this. Why aren't the clothes folded and washed and folded and this, that, and the other? It's like, what? Like, at that point for me, I was no longer a kid. I was somebody's bitch.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just like I didn't have the worst life, and I'm never ever tried to play that I have because I know there's people that had it worse than me. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, by the people that actually squirted them out and from the person that grew them and birthed them. Like, I mean, versus like with you, you know, your stepdad was a really good influence.
Yeah.
I mean, he cared about you.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously, like when my sister was born, obviously now I'm a big brother.
Yeah.
So of course now I had more responsibilities. Now I did have chores and all this other stuff. Like before, it was all chill. You know,
See,
like,
chores are fine.
and like I didn't look at it as like the way I looked at it was I didn't look at it as like being bossed around or like somebody's bitch. It was more like, well, you know, now I gotta help out a little bit more. You know, that's how I looked at it. Was more like, you know, okay, cool. I guess I throw out the garbage now. Like, and you know, he's a mechanic too, so that's where I learned most of my shit from.
Yeah,
you know, so you know, he taught me how to do that, and I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, I hated it.
Like, now you're thankful for this shit.
Oh
you?
Yeah, of course. But I hated it when I was little. Oh, come on, come to the garage. Let's go work on this car. I got a customer car coming through. And like it was like, oh God, like why? And I felt more like, in that sense, I felt more like a gopher. You know, like that's what I felt like. You know, and I would get angry.
All right,
like
Pumbaa,
a lot of my anger like came from like, oh, he just wants me to go over there so I can fetch shit for him. You know, that's why he needs me, just so I can go fetch shit for him. But at the same time, like obviously, like looking back at it now, like I'm like, man, like I learned what sockets and like what wrenches went to where, like automatically, like just by looking at them. I'm like, okay, all right, that's a 12. You know what I mean? Like that's a you know, that's a 7/8 right there. All right, cool. Yeah, but then, you know, being little, like you just look at it like, dude, what the like? I'm just working for free. You know, like he's not even paying me. Like I'm sitting in this garage like 3-4 hours, and I'm like, I'm not even getting paid for this. He getting paid for this. Like it's his job, not mine. You know, but that's how I looked at it. I was like, and I would tell my mom all the time, I was like I'm literally like his shop bitch. You know, and like my mom would be like, you know, he just wants to spend, you know, time. I'm like, he doesn't want to spend no time. He's over there arguing with the car.
Hold the damn flashlight.
But basically, yeah, like hold the flashlight, right?
Like the flashlight's really the problem.
Right, hold the flashlight. But, you know, looking back at it now, he was actually showing me stuff. You know, like this is what happens when, you know, when this sensor goes out, or this is why the car's not starting. You know what I mean? Like, hey, check this and this and this first, and then see if that, you know, if that's the problem. Like, so I did learn a lot from him. You know, I learned, you know, what I didn't know then was, you know, just hard work. Yeah. You know, that work can be fun if you like what you're doing, but it can also be hard work. You know, I learned that, you know, like I learned that if you want to make money, you know, you got to work. You got to work for it, you know? So like, but obviously me being, you know, 10, 11, 12, you know, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here.
Bike.
You know, like I don't want to be here, you know, Saturday, Sunday, you know, like weekdays after school. Like, I don't want to do this. We talking like 8, 9, 10, 11 in the, you know, at night in a garage working on cars, you know, like I don't want to do this. But that wasn't even it, because he could definitely do it himself. He does it himself all the time.
Yeah.
Like he literally takes transmissions and motors apart by himself. Like, you know, so it's not like he needed me there. He just wanted to spend the time and show me stuff. You know, but he wasn't gonna tell me that he was gonna teach me. He's just, you know, showing me.
Want you to watch and learn.
Right. So you know, I think he felt more like, if I tell him I'm going to teach him something, he's not going to want to. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm that type of person that, like, I learn by watching. Yeah. Right? And by practice. You know, I can't just read off of it. Yeah. You know, but at the same time, if you're telling me you want me to practice on something, I'm not going to do it. And my kid's the same way too. If I tell him to practice on an instrument or whatever, it's not fun anymore.
Because you're not discovering the need to want to learn by yourself.
Right. It's someone telling me what to do.
And see, that's,
you know what I mean?
That's wild though, because for you and for me and for us to connect the way we connected, and it's funny as hell because I can't tell you how many times your wife literally said, "You ought to meet Kevin." Like, okay, all right. And then, like,
you know what's funny?
And it's the same shit for you.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Is that she would come home and be like,
right,
"You
cool.
gotta meet Dustin." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I'd be like, "Uh-huh." I'm like, "You know how I feel about meeting new people." I'm like,
Yep.
I don't like meeting new people. I'm like,
Nope.
I'm fine. And I'd be like, no. Like, you have to meet, you have to meet him. I think you guys have a lot of things in common. I was like, "Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good."
But it's just funny though, because then the first fucking time we actually do meet and we're sitting here talking for like 2 hours, it's just fucking weird.
Yeah. I told my wife, I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "He's not bad." I was like, "Yeah, right?"
Yeah, she said I was cute, but I mean, but it's just weird because like when you talk about like the whole like working on car stuff, I'm the only person in my family to take up mechanics. And I took them up in a very different way. And I learned so much in such a short time. And it's like, I don't know. It's frustrating like working on cars at times because I started learning on the performance side. And that's what I was taught. So like I hate fixing people's shit. Like because you can't please them. Like it don't matter how much you do or how little you charge or how much of a break you give somebody. Well, why do I gotta pay this? And I literally like it's not funny that I say that, but the irony of it is, what's today? Today's Sunday, so Friday afternoon, I had this lady come in with a car, 2013 Dodge Journey, I think it was. She originally brought us a car. The only code on the dash was a P0420. You already know what it is.
Yeah.
Go check the car out. Car's red. You know what color the catalytic converter was after about 30 minutes of driving? Neon orange. So, needless to say, we're not an exhaust shop. We don't keep some cheap stuff on hand. So I told her, like, look, I can get you an OEM direct replacement, but the OEM is literally $760.
Yeah.
Like, you're not paying a markup.
Right.
You're paying for the part, and then you're going to pay me the 2 hours to put it
labor.
on.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. Needless to say, get that fixed, crank the car up, let it run, let it burn off that, that new smell, because, new catalytic converters or exhaust equipment, like it smokes. Guess what's not moving on the dash? The temperature gauge. So, it's an older lady. She's handicapped. And I try to treat people as if it's my family. So I'm like, all right, this is probably something she's worried about, but she just didn't say nothing about. So I start checking stuff. And I'm the only person in the building that can do electrical. So I start troubleshooting. Come to find out how the wires for the coolant temp sensor were snapped inside the harness loom. How did I find that? Well, doing what I know. And you pay an electrician on an automotive, I mean, you're paying $200 an hour at minimum. At least $200 an hour where we're at. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
I traced it down, found it, fixed it. She comes back, she brings the car back a couple weeks later. Oh, my car is bucking and jerking, blah, 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 blah. So I pulled the car in, Even though I'm not a mechanic anymore. I'm a manager. I go outside and I'm helping him look over the car, and I'm like, yo, she needs a throttle body. So I told her what we're gonna do. Put throttle body on. She comes pick up the car. Guess what she says? Well, why do I gotta pay for that? This has nothing to do with what we fixed last time. Like, her whole argument was, long story short, was why do I gotta pay for this if it didn't fix the problem I was having whenever I bought the car the first time? And a lot of people don't understand, like, an engine is a vacuum pump. The more it can get in, the more it can flow out, the better it performs. And in that particular instance, it was constipated. So, I mean, it is blocked up, lady. You literally about to start a fire up under the damn hood. And so she's sitting there arguing with me. And I'm like, do you argue with the doctor? Well, no. Why? She said, well, I'm not a doctor. I was like, why are you going to argue with your tech? She's like, well, I'm not a tech, but I was like, what's the difference? And she immediately just stopped. And I was like, look, drive for a few days. Let me know if the issue's gone. I know who you are. We know where you live. Like, it's not a threat, but I trust that if I contact you, you're going to pay. She's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, really. I was like, just give me a chance to help you. And so that goes back to the same, like, a different scenario of, like, with a stepdad. Your particular instance, if you would have just gave him a chance to help you, and in my particular instance, if he would have given me a chance to help him, I could never find out what would help him.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Like, on my end, I like figuring out what's wrong with the car, because he showed me that.
What about people?
But here's the thing, though. He showed me that, right? He showed me how to figure out what's wrong with the car, right? But what I learned from him, what I secretly learned from him, is that I don't like dealing with customers. So on the other hand, I will give you advice on what to look for and how to check it, but I will not touch it, because I've learned the headaches from him, because I would have headaches myself, because he would transfer the headache unknowingly transfer the headache onto me, because I was
just
there.
Shut up and let me help you.
Right. So, but obviously, like, being 10, to 12 or whatever, you don't think about any of that stuff. You just think about, right now.
Yeah, but bro, look how old we are now.
I know.
We got people that are literally 20 years older and they still don't shut up.
Well, now, but see, that's the thing though. Like, now I look back at it and I'm like, damn, I was like, he's been a good dad this whole time. I was like, what the hell was wrong with me? I was like, what was my problem? But it all started more like when my sister was born. And nothing against my sister. Like, I love my sister. She's my sister. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with her. And I know my dad will never see this. I know that for a fact.
We need to send it to him.
My mom will never see this. Hell, even my sister will never see this. But he was a good dad the entire time. I've never had, like I said, a bad experience with him. Yeah, of course he loses his shit. When you're 10, 12 and you're talking shit back, of course anybody's gonna lose their shit.
Yeah, especially when all you're doing is trying to help him.
But he never reacted to it. He was one of those like, okay, I see you. I know what you're trying to do. But nothing. Instead, he would school me on shit. Like, hey, you got to be more like this. And like, hey, try looking at it this way. And then, like, little by little, I'd be like, okay, I see what you mean. But it wasn't until I would go through those issues that I'm like, oh, this is what he was talking about. You know what I mean? Like, at first, it goes in one ear and out the other, but that's how it was, like, growing up for me. But even then, like, till now, like, he's a good grandpa, man, to my kid. Like, he is like we're blood. You know what I mean? Like, that's another thing, because my sister has a kid now too, and he does not treat them any differently at all. Like, he was, when I told him that, we were gonna have a baby, like, he was excited. You know what I mean? Like, because even though, like I said, we're not blood, like, to him, it's a grandson. You know, like, and it was, dude, he's never treated, and he doesn't treat either of them any differently, you know?
And you know what's crazy about that? Like, I envy that because...
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or nothing.
No.
I don't want to make you feel like...
soggy biscuit. I don't mean nothing.
I don't want to make you feel like I'm bragging,
Linda,
you know, but...
Listen, Linda. It ain't nothing like that.
Like, even my wife has said that before. He's like, you know, like, should we tell, you know, kid? I'm like, nah, it's fine. If he finds out later on, then yeah, I mean, he'll be old enough to understand, but we don't have to tell him.
Well, no, that he's a very level-headed kid too.
He is, and so, he would know, like, he would understand right away. But
he probably knows, he just ain't said nothing.
Yeah, but
he don't care.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't care, then, you know, why does anybody else have to care? Like, my wife was like, no, it's not that I care. It's just like, what if, you know, it's like, because she was noticing, he's like, man, like, you know, like, your dad, she even, like, refers to him as my dad. Yeah. You know, she's like, man, like, your dad is like he's never, like, I'm so, like, what do you call it? I can't remember what she said, but she was more like, you know, like, your dad's, like, he's a really good grandpa, you know, because he does not treat, you know, our kid any differently, especially since, you know, my sister had a kid, you know, like, but this was obviously when my nephew was, you know, was new or fresh, you know what I mean? Like, off the womb, you know what I'm saying?
Like Air Force One.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm so, like, I'm glad that, you know, like, that's never happened. Whereas her dad, which is my dad's real grandpa, he's kind of neither here nor there.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they talk or whatever, but it's only, like, during special occasions.
We'll see.
To be fair on that end, you know, my dad's here, you know, her dad is in another state. You know what I'm saying? But still, he could reach out more. And I think that's what she was noticing more, was the fact that even though my dad isn't my real dad, he's more of a grandpa to our kid than his actual blood grandpa is to him.
And see, it's funny you say that, because in my scenario, and also in my wife's scenario, my wife and I are the complete opposite. She has her dad, I have my mom. Like, that's all it is. Yeah. And see, I don't envy you. I wish I had the same experience, because the first thing that the person that adopted me, and the first thing the person that I share the same last name as, the first thing he said when he met our son was when my mother was going to drop off my sister. And he was like, who's kissing? And she told him, oh, that's Dustin's. Why is he throwing his life away? Like, bitch, do you know how mad that made me? Like, so now in my mind, it's like, okay, so you want to beat my ass because you wasted your life?
Right.
You want to beat my ass because I made you throw your life away?
Right.
Like, that was literally the first thing he said after meeting him.
See,
and he was like 4 at the time. I think he was 4. Somewhere between 4 and 6. And that was his first time meeting him. And that was the first thing he said to my mother. And bro, you talk about someone heated. Like, I beat your ass once. You know I shouldn't be. I reacted once. And bro, you just... the hairs on the back of my neck lit up whenever I heard that information. And I was livid. And it's crazy because still even to this day, he hasn't met my daughter. He hasn't met, I say my daughter. I got the same woman in my life. I rolled my eyes on that. I didn't mean it like that. So, true, I know you'll end up watching this, so shut up. In a nice way. He hasn't met our daughter or our middle son.
Yeah.
But the first thing he says when he meets my son is that. And it's crazy because there was something that popped up that my mother was tagged in, and the comment was from my sister. Not the photo was from my sister, and do you know what the comment on the photo was? Daddy holding his first grandchild. And I'm like, yo.
That's fucked up.
Yo. You could beat my ass and take your attitude out on me and be jealous of me and my mother spending time together. And me and my mother and my grandmother spending time together. And it beat the fuck out of all of us because you were jealous of it. But you can't even owe it to my child who has your last name. And my last name. And you could only say right there in front of him, why is he throwing his life away? So that's why whenever this topic was kind of strange for me, because it makes me aggravated.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing though. Some people are too, some people can be too close-minded into the subject. You know,
close-minded, bro. He fucking adopted me.
I know, but it wasn't one of those where, you know, he fully accepted you. To be honest,
you know. Well, no, he did until my sister was born.
Right, until he had basically something of his own.
Yeah.
You know, and some people turn like that. You know, so when we were gonna have our kid, the funny thing is my dad and my wife's dad actually knew each other. And they've known each other for years.
Oh,
and I've actually seen her before, but I just didn't remember. Because her dad does tow trucks. My dad does mechanic work. And that's how they connected. He would bring them customers. And my dad would work on cars. God. And then, you know, my dad would haul off cars or call him to haul off cars for him. And that's how they knew, right? So
you were left there to be fixed.
So her dad, hearing that we were gonna have a kid, his reaction was good because he knew who raised me, right? So he automatically knew that, based off of my dad's actions and how my dad is, my dad's just straight up, you know what I mean? And he knew, since he knew who raised me, he's like, wait a minute. When we first met, you know, he tried to give me a hard time. You know, he tried to give me a hard time. He did. He really did. Right? But when she told him who my dad was, eased the fuck up real quick. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know him. All right, he's good. Because he knew.
He was a good person.
Yeah. He knew who raised me and he knew how I was raised. And of course, when we were having our first, you know, our only kid, you know, he's like, oh, that's good. There's no, oh, what are you doing getting pregnant, you know, at this, you know, at this age, and none of that. None of that. But that's because he already knew that I was going to be as responsible. Yeah. You know, I was going to be just as responsible.
See, that's crazy. And I think that's something that people should take to the ones that listen to this video. Coming from two sides, coming from two different people from different parts of the U.S. I guess the one thing there's a couple things I guess I could take from that person that adopted me. And even though it wasn't, you know, how to love or how to be dependable or accountable, he taught me what not to be.
Yep.
100%. Because my wife and I, you know, with our kids, the first thing that me and her had an agreement on whenever, you know, we found out we were having them, because of what she's been through and because of what I've been through, is no matter how much, if there were to ever be a time where we couldn't get along, we will not, and we would not separate until the kids were 18. And even with me saying that right now, I think I have one of the best women in my life. And I mean, I 100% mean that. Like, my wife is literally the other side of me that I needed whenever I was younger. Like, she's understanding to a point. Sometimes she's contradictive, but so am I. But what I'm trying to get out is you had a good stepdad.
Yeah.
I had fucked up ones. And we still turned out to be good people.
Yeah, so that's so what I get from it is like, so from your experience, it showed you how not to be and like flip it and be better than what you had.
Because
right?
I'm scared of being what I experienced.
Right. So, and then for me, it's more like, well, he showed me how to do the right thing. Yeah. You know, and how to be like the best person I can be. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to share that with my kid, you know, and pass that on forward. So what you're doing is, you know, you took your bad experiences and then you 180 them, and now you're just, you know, you're showing your kids how to be good people and like do the right thing and have what you didn't have. Oh, you are. You think you're not. You think you're not, but you are. When you look back, like when you look back and be like, damn, it turned out good.
You know what I mean? But for me, I don't have, like, it's still to this day, I don't know. I struggle with how to express emotion.
But here's the thing, though. So do I. Even though I had a good dad, right? Even though I had a good dad, I still think,
so you know,
I still think at times, like, man, am I raising him good? And then I look at him and I'm like,
yeah, but raising him good, how raising them good, yes, because I've had, you know, multiple people, like even in public, people I don't know, and they're like, your kids are really well behaved. Like, I cannot believe, how old are you? And how old are your kids? And like, you know, they say yes sir, no sir, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm 37. What does that have to do with anything? And but like for me, like what I'm saying is like I may be raising them right, but I don't know how to show what I feel inside.
Oh, I don't either.
And it's frustrating because like the first moment, like I get it, like I feel like I'm about to get a tear, like I can play the blame game, and people listening can say I'm playing the blame game, but it's how I feel inside. I feel like I was forced not to show emotion, and so like for me, like emotion for me, like, you know, and I feel like shit. I don't say it out loud, but like I feel like shit's like, what, you know, why are you crying? Is there something we're crying over?
Yeah, so
like
the difference, okay, so the difference between like say like me and you, right? You don't because of like your experiences, right?
That's what I say because I don't know any other way to put it.
But here's the thing though. Because my dad always taught me to just keep working and keep moving.
That's what I do.
I don't either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's frustrating,
like he showed,
bro.
Like, so even though he's a good dad, you know, and he showed me, you know, a lot of shit, you know, but he also showed me to like just keep it moving. You know, you don't have time for this. Like we don't have time to sit there and cry over anything. Like you just buckle down and change it, right? Keep it moving. So I learned that. With my kid, you know, I'm showing him how to obviously like, you know, like be a good person and all that stuff. And I know that, you know, I don't show any emotion, but that's because of how I was raised and I had a good dad.
Yeah, but the irony of that is like, there's been some of our reaction videos where we both get emotional.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of like a one-off thing. You know what I mean?
But for me, that was kind of frustrating.
But I don't lose my shit in front of him. Like I'll get frustrated, but like
and see, that's where I struggle.
I'll go. You know what? Just go, just go. And then like to myself, I'm like, you don't. But I don't show him that. I don't show him that mainly because I don't want to feel like he's disappointing me.
And see,
you know, because my kid is a literal kid.
Yeah,
like he's pretty literal. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you like, kind of like how I was, You know, like with my dad, like he wouldn't tell me, but I knew when he would be like disappointed. You know, same with my mom, you know, like she wouldn't say anything, but I'm like, man, I fucked that up. You know, I messed that one up. All right. Okay. You know, and you can feel it. But with him, I don't want him to feel like that he's wrong. Not that he's wrong, but like there's something wrong with him. You know, when he's just learning. Like how I was learning.
And see, I forget that though. I like me in general, like I forget that. Like I get so aggravated.
Right, and so do I. Like I forget that too, that like he's still learning, like how I was learning.
But see,
and I'm
you're
like,
better than me in that situation because of the fact instead, like, and I try to catch myself when I do it.
Oh, I school him after.
Oh,
like
no,
after
bro,
after I calm down, because I have to calm down in order.
I don't wait.
Because my thing is that I say things straight up to where it sounds harsher than what I mean them.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because I'm the very direct, just like you said. Like, what? Were you not thinking?
Yeah. So
like, what are you doing?
Right. So with me, it's like I say things harsher than what I mean them, like internally.
Yeah, in our heads, it means it's okay what we're saying.
Right. So I wait till I calm down a little bit, and then I go and school him, like how my dad used to do. My dad would just walk the hell away, and then he'd come back and then school me. He's like, hey, you know why this and this and this happened? This is why. Like, hey, you're gonna encounter this later on. I hope you don't, but you might. You know, like he always give me that. I hope you don't, but you might. So here, you know, this is how you deal with it. This is how I'm dealing with it, and like stuff like that. But he never really cried either. You know, obviously, if he jammed his finger in something, he definitely cried. Yeah, obviously, that's like a natural reaction because I do that too. Like, I'll
get mad,
bruh.
I get ready to swing.
I'll loosen a bolt, and it catches your knuckle every time because cars demand your blood.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
When you work on a car demands your blood, and like. I would remember every single time. Every time I skin a knuckle, I'm like, that's what he felt every time. You know what I mean?
Speaking of that, look at this shit. Look at my leg, bro. Like, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a knot.
But, you know, I think about that too sometimes. And like, I think about it too sometimes. Like, he's at his age, and I'm like, I hope I'm doing good. I know I'm doing decent, you know, obviously based off his grades, based off his attitude, based off of his mentality and his drive to want to do something more. Because at his age, I wasn't doing nothing. I was riding my bike around, like going places where I shouldn't have been, you know, when I was told not to. You know, that's me. But him, on the other hand, he's more like focused and more driven than I was at that age. You know, so I think I'm doing good, but I won't know. I won't know until later on, until he looks back on his life later on and tells me. Yeah. You know, kind of like how I'm sure I will later on in my life, and I'll tell my dad, you know.
But see, what's crazy though, like something that it is crazy for me, like literally, is I know you're not going to take it way some of the people might take it that would listen, that choose to listen to this. Our oldest son is a spitting image of me.
Yep.
Like, okay. Like, what? Like, it's just direct.
Yep.
Our second child is how I would picture myself if I was an emotional person. And then our third child, my daughter,
that's all you.
I ain't gonna give it to my wife.
No, that's all you.
I ain't gonna give it to her.
That's all you.
You eat my ass.
Ooh, that's all you. The random ooh, but that's all you.
But her sarcasm too, though.
Yeah.
Like, she's quick with it. The B is only be 4.
Yeah.
Bro, she'll say some stuff. And I mean, it's just like my wife immediately yells, Dustin! What? Did you hear what she said to me? She wrong? Are you serious right now? Yeah. Like, she literally asked you a question not to make you mad. She just said, did you look where you were stepping?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm on that fence, and it's like I gotta grab both sides of that grass because it's like you shouldn't leave your toys on the floor. But why weren't you looking where you're walking? Like, you gotta put the two together. Like, that's kind of a weird gesture to make, but you gotta put the two together. But like my daughter, like you're right, the randomness and the smartassness and the sarcasm. Oh, bro.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, that's the thing with, like with our kid. Our kid's the same way too. He's a split between the two of us because he can be emotional.
But it's like our kids literally got one piece.
Yeah, so like we only have one.
I know that, but I'm talking like one piece.
Yeah,
like
so,
it's like they don't have their mama in that shit.
Right. So like, but we only have one. So since we only have one, like he can be emotional like her, but he's sarcastic like me, and like the way he says things comes straightforward and out, and then he kind of backtracks because of her.
But he backtracks. That's weird though.
Yeah, I know.
For me, it's weird because like our oldest son, completely different. Like when I say he's like me, he don't cry.
Yeah,
he's not emotional, and I didn't raise him to be that way. It's just that's how he is. And then our middle, the middle one.
Yep.
He's very emotional. Our daughter, no emotion, anger.
Yeah.
Like when she gets emotional, she gets like that's what she gets. So like in your particular instance, y'all got the split.
Yep.
Me and my wife, we got like, okay.
You have
here's
one
the
of each
asshole.
Separately.
Here's the emotional asshole, and here's the smart ass angry asshole. And no, I'm not calling my kids assholes. I'm saying was it a perk? Would it be a perk?
I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean?
Like Call of Duty?
Yeah, like
Call of Duty.
Like,
the asshole cola.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's an asshole cola.
See, y'all got the fair split. At least y'all got one that'll talk and get emotional and help you understand. Where it's like, nope, yes, what? That's literally like my stage as a kid. Like, nope, yes, what? That's what I got. So at least y'all got lucky and y'all got the down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, even down to the food. Yep. Even down to the food. Like there's stuff that he likes that she doesn't like, right? Because she doesn't like certain things and I don't like certain things.
We all like that, but yeah.
But he'll like both. Mm-hmm. Like foods, like condiments, like everything. Like there's stuff that I don't like. Right? Or there's like, say, like, for example, like olives. Love olives. She hates olives.
I know.
He doesn't like olives.
That sucks.
Right.
But it means you get more olives.
Right. But like, say, like feta cheese. I love feta cheese. He loves feta cheese.
It's got to be done.
She hates feta cheese.
It's got to be done a certain way for me.
She hates feta cheese, but he loves it, and I love it. You see what I'm saying? So we kind of get like a
split.
Yeah.
Like y'all spit in a pot and stirred it up.
I'm like the way I've always thought about it, like growing up with a stepdad, like a dad isn't your DNA, it's who you're raised by. Whether it's a stepdad or like a solid grandpa that, is always there for you to teach you stuff and like grow up with. That's how I look at it. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't even have to be like completely like blood related like that. It could be a like an uncle, that's a good person. You know what I mean? Like that. Like that's just me, But because I had a dad and for like 2 years, the fuck am I gonna remember from that?
Yeah, my dad was just literally like a Motel 6 sheet in a test tube.
Like literally, the last thing that I remember is.
No, my mom wasn't a whore.
Like last thing I remember was getting a bike when I was 5, and not even an assembled bike, and then just bye. That was it. Who put it together? My uncle. And who showed me how to ride that bike? My stepdad. You know what I mean? Like, so, and he's been teaching me shit ever since. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that's how I look at it, and that's how I, you know, want my kid to look at it. That like it doesn't, you know, matter as long as, you know, you have a good, like, I guess, like, role model, I guess, to teach you. Whether or not you're doing good, you won't know. You won't know until later on, you know, until either they come up to you and tell you, or, you know, you see it for yourself that, yeah, it turned out good. That's how I take it. I try not to focus too much on it, you know, because then, you know, you start getting too much into your head, and then you start changing things when you shouldn't have been changing things, because you think you're changing things the right way, but you're really not. You're making things worse. See, that's how it happens. You start going down that weird rabbit hole, and then you don't, like, when you really shouldn't, when you should just leave it alone. Because, I mean, not everything works itself out, but leave it alone because it's working right now.
I guess.
You know, but
me
like
personally,
I'm glad.
I'm always feeling like I'm fucking up.
Like, I'm glad. Like, I got lucky with a good stepdad. Not gloating, not bragging.
Dude, please, I ain't gonna take it like that. I know it ain't no dick.
You know, but I'm glad I get a good stepdad, and yeah, he showed me a lot of things, man. Like, just how to be a decent human being, but also don't take shit from anybody. That's kind of important. That's kind of what I showed my kid. Like, be a decent person. You know, I've always told him, like, dude, just be a decent person. Don't be a dick just to be a dick. Don't be a bully. Don't be an asshole. You know, be an asshole appropriately, accordingly. And that's how I am. You want to be an asshole to me, I will respond equally. You know what I mean?
If you want to
be a bully, like, if you want to be a bully to me, I'm going to respond accordingly.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to go looking for it, because that's how my dad always taught me. My dad always taught me, don't go looking for trouble, but if trouble finds you, make sure you stomp it out.
Deal with that shit.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead, deal with
that's how it was. You know, that's how it was growing up. You know, don't go looking for trouble, but if trouble finds you, try your hardest to stomp it out. You know?
Yeah, I guess. And see, that's frustrating too, though, in a sense, because it's more like, I don't even know how to explain what's in my head, because there's like 1,000 things going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish people, like, because they say, oh, well, you know, I don't know. Like, you know, some people, they say, oh, well, if you're raised in this, and that's how you're gonna be when you get older. And to that, I say, fuck you. I'm not a belligerent alcoholic.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
For the longest time, I've been afraid to drink.
It depends on the person.
Like, I know, but that goes hand in hand, though, with, like, some people say, oh, well, if this is all you're used to, then that's all you're going to be. That's all you're going to know.
Right.
No, like, if you want to be better, or you want to get better, or you want to do better than what you had, what's wrong with that? And I think a lot of people get caught up in being the victim, that they continue to play the victim, and in turn, they breed victims.
Yep. They don't.
I don't know if that makes sense. But
They don't do the outside looking in. They don't reflect that way.
Yeah.
They only reflect internally, and that's it. They don't go outside themselves and actually look at the big picture.
Yeah, because whenever we buried the remainders of our family on my mother's side, which was literally like year after year after year, I became numb. And I didn't care who I hurt. Like, I didn't care what I was doing if it was hurting somebody. Because at the same time, that's when I was dealing with all this shit with him. And it literally took me 9 years after going numb to start caring. Because I really think if it wasn't for my wife and for our oldest son, I personally feel like in my chest and in my mind, I'd be dead. Because if it weren't for them, I would have never changed. And it's the only thing she did for me that was just made me realize that it was it's okay to be lost. Just don't forget. Even if you're lost, there's a way to get on the right path. I think that's deep. Man, coming from me, like, I don't know, that it's just weird. Yeah. And it's crazy too, because you know what's wild is we've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, but so the way I've looked at it is like, so like his parents, like when his parents or when his dad died, like I felt that, you know, because his dad, even though like we weren't around each other before we moved for a long time, but when I was growing up and I was little and I would, you know, he would bring me around them and all that stuff, they treated me like, you know, obviously they treated me like a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and so like his grandpa or his dad was a little bit like my grandpa in a sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I felt like he was a little bit of my grandpa too. You know, obviously didn't have that big connection with him, you know, because of moving purposes, right? Moving reasons, but
and plus age.
Right. But you know, when his dad died, I was like maybe 12 or 13. But I knew enough of him and I hung around enough of him, you know, to know that he was a decent person who raised a decent person who is raising a decent person. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, you know, like those, what's that called? The babushka dolls, where it's like, you know, like doll inside a doll. So, but he was, you know, he was a decent person too, you know, who raised a decent person, to be fair, who raised somebody who later on learned his lessons. Cause, you know, I've heard stories from my dad of when he was younger. And he's like, I know, I've been where you've been. But back then, I didn't care what he was saying.
Yeah.
Now I know, I'm like, man,
should have listened.
This is what he meant. This is what he meant. So I'm like, all right, cool. Thankfully, my kid isn't like that, you know, yet. Hopefully not, never. But.
Bro, I was so scared with our oldest.
But, you know, it's one of those where, you know.
You just got to wait and see.
Yeah, got to wait and see. And then deal with it accordingly when the time comes. You know, because that's one thing my kid knows for sure, is that I will deal with it. You know, just like him, you know, just like my dad.
But see, you know what sucks about that?
Deal with it.
You know what? That's another topic. So I'm going to leave that one there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm not on my phone distracting from our conversation. So I'm just going to type this in.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, I don't know, because you were raised differently than I was, and we still turned out to like relatively the same, to where we both want the best for our kids, no matter what.
Yeah.
Me, because of how I was raised, to, you know, have, you know, be the best person I can be for, you know, for my kid. And you wanting to change that and not be, you know,
I experienced.
Yeah, what you experienced.
I just want to be the best I can be.
Yep.
Like, and I don't think anybody will ever be able to take that from me. And I know there might be people that might understand what I mean by that, but in my head, after what I've seen and what I've dealt with and the things I've experienced, a lot of times I feel like it's just me, and I think that's how I'm always going to feel. And even though I know there's people out there that feel the same way, or that been through what I've been through, or been through worse, or have been through similar, it's just, it made me who I am in a good sense. So in a way, that's what I'm saying. Like, I used to be envious, but as I got older, I kind of became thankful. So even if particular people ever see this, I don't hate you. I'm thankful because you show me.
It's like a F you, but thank you.
Yeah, because you show me what not to be in the front yard.
Yep.
Be the grass, the trees, the vines. Yep. Don't be the stinky stuff. Yep. Because it always dries out and fades away. But you always remember where it was and not the step. If that means anything, it does to me.
To my dad, I know he's never gonna see this. Like, 'cause I already know he's never gonna see this. He knows I have a YouTube channel, but that's about it. You know what I mean? That's the extent of it. But
I wish it was some way we could get
I
people
just want
to
to
get them
say,
to watch this.
like, I just want to say thank you. You know, always being there, no matter what. Like, I would get into some stuff, and he was always the first one to come and like get me out of it every time. Every time. Not even for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not even because my mom would be like, no, like, go. No. Always, it was just always him. Yeah, it always came from him. All the advice came from him, not my mom pushing or anything, because my mom is always like the type to kind of like stay back a little bit, you know, because she knows how I am. She knows that I'm not an emotional person like that. So she knows that like it doesn't click for me, you know? So like he was always there to just, you know, say the right things and give me the right advice over things. You know what I mean? And I know that if I come up to him and I ask him about something, he'll give me the best advice to his knowledge. Same with my kid. Because my kid will talk to him over me first, to be honest. Sometimes like he'll talk to him before talking to me because, you know, obviously it's grandpa. You know what I mean? Like most kids with grandparents are just, you know, going to be more comfortable with their grandparents telling them something to grandparents than anything, you know, than their own parents. Because they think they're going to be pissed, you know, so he kind of works like as a mediator sometimes.
It must be nice because our kids, depending on what it is, like if it's dealing with his relationship life, or if it's dealing with something that's gone wrong, the oldest one runs to me. Now, if it's financial,
materialistic,
he runs to my wife. Knowing where the money comes from,
right.
But I mean, it is what it is. I don't get mad about it, but it's like the reason why. Once you know, I know why you don't come here because you don't say what happened to your money,
right?
Because you work. So I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is.
But I like that my kid can, you know, can
have someone else talk to.
Can pick from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just me in case I do forget some, you know, some lessons and whatnot. So he can always just, you know, pick from that. And my dad will always give him the same advice, you know, the best logical advice that he can give him, you know, but then my dad will come and talk to me like, hey, you know,
you're fucking
kid.
Up.
No, like,
not
you know,
literally, but you know
no. He'll tell me, he's like, hey, you know, kid came to me with, you know, with an issue. You might want to talk to him about that, see what you think, and give him your perspective. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
But see, he won't talk to me. Can bounce off each other.
Yeah, because he won't come to me. Like sometimes he won't come to me directly. He'd rather go to my wife. You know? He'd rather go to his mom. You know, and sometimes I do feel like,
on my second best.
Like you can just come to me. You know what I mean? Like, but because of how she says things. You know, she says things a little smoother. You know, I say things straight up. You know what I mean?
That's my problem.
But my thing is, I say things straight up with logic. She says things with emotion.
Sugar.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So to him, like, he'll understand it, but then I'll still, because then she'll give me the word like, hey, you know, he's talking about this or he wants to know about this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Then I'll go over there and I treat him with logic because he understands logic because he is half of me, you know? So it's like, I don't really want to sugarcoat anything to him either, you know, because my dad never did either. He never really sugarcoated anything to me because he knew how the world worked and how people worked like that, you know, like, you know, it's not sugarcoating, you know, you have to be realistic in a real world.
Yeah, and that's like I've always told my kids, like, if you take a fresh dog turd, and some people think I'm being funny, but I'm not. If you take a fresh dog turd, a horse turd, whatever, just take a turd, and you glaze it with sugar, and then you take a cake or a brownie that's the same color, and you coat them both with sugar, is one of them gonna taste like shit? Yes, because it's still shit.
Yeah.
like you can code it any way you want to. But the reality is, it's gonna be more hurtful if I say, "Hey, yo, try this," versus I know the difference. And I guess that's why I look at it, and I really feel you look at it, is we want you to know the reality, and we're not going to code it, because that way, if I die, you know the difference.
Yeah.
Like you can't, you sugarcoat it as much as you want to, but the truth is the truth.
Yeah, like
the fact is a fact.
Like I feel like once you become a parent, it's about preparing your next you, basically.
Oh, not all parents are like that.
Well, I mean, not all parents, but for most parents, it's about preparing the next you, the next version of you, basically. And that's version. Exactly, and that's what I think my dad tried to do. He tried to prepare the next version, with me and my sister, like the next version of us. And that's what I'm doing. That's what my sister's doing with her kid. Just preparing the next versions of us.
And that conversation went far.
It did. It was good. I hope you all listened to all of this.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot.
Yeah.
But this is what this episode is for. Dude, we're almost at 5,000.
We are almost at 5,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. With that being said, we hope that you guys enjoyed it. Hope that you guys watched all the way through.
And even if you don't watch it, you can always just pop it up and just listen.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be something that we said or we say or we have said
that might connect with you, might not,
never know.
Similar experience, maybe not. But we'll see y'all next time.
I hope y'all like this background music too.
Yeah.
This shit made it easy for me to talk. I don't know why, but it really makes it easy for me to talk. But with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope y'all know that y'all can come here and talk about anything. And until then, until the next 20,000, deuces.
We'll see y'all next time.